Hello, I'm Dr. Sam Hancock of the Emerald Planet and EmeraldPlanet TV. We come to you on a week-to-week basis from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technology, services, and products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And as we have a planet of 9 billion people by 2038 and possibly 12 to 13 billion by the end of this century, how are we going to be able to take care of all these people on planet Earth? And that's what Emerald Planet's all about. We come to you looking at the solutions, the best practices from around the globe as we create the Emerald Planet. Hello, welcome to the Emerald Planet. We're making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And seeing the long-term impacts of climate change. We're glad to have you. Thank you for being with us. One of the very dynamic areas of the world is becoming the Caribbean and the Caribbean Basin. 34 countries, territories, and dependencies, all making up a great mosaic of energy, opportunities, and challenges as far as the environment is concerned, but also to contribute to economic development and for the communities that are there. And so we have Racquel Moses, who is the CEO of the Caribbean Climate Smart Accelerator. And we're going to be talking about the Caribbean and its great diversity, but also what is a climate smart accelerator. So Racquel, welcome to the Emerald Planet TV.
Thank you. Thank you so very much for having me.
Glad you're here. Tell us a little bit about this very unique name that you have for your organization.
So we are the Climate Smart Accelerator. We are a coalition of 27 Caribbean nations that have joined this initiative to create the world's first climate smart zone, and we wanted to be in the Caribbean. And by climate smart, what we're referring to is modernizing our infrastructure, both physical and social infrastructure, to be able to deliver a secure future and climate resilient future for the region. And Accelerator because we're meant to make it happen as quickly as possible.
I think the pace that you're taking when you look at this map and how it is far flung across the Greater Antilles into the Atlantic Ocean, the Caribbean Sea. It's just amazing that you can put your arms around such diversity and such many different countries and even languages. So tell us, why is the Caribbean so important to the world community?
So the Caribbean functions in many ways as it relates to climate change as the canary in the coal mine. What is happening to the rest of the world is happening to us first. We're the ones facing more ferocious storms, sea level rise, and we are being impacted while others are projecting when the impact will take place. The impact is happening to us right now. We're experiencing loss of livelihood and lives and biodiversity now. We are already at a bit of a tipping point that we need to address. And because of the diversity of this region, as you've outlined, in terms of language, in terms of distance from each other, in terms of its natural beauty, we are the best place to start piloting and pivoting the Earth into a new climate smart existence.
I think it's just marvelous that you're doing this, particularly the Caribbean. I've traveled somewhat throughout the Caribbean, a number of different countries, and it's just a marvelous region of the Earth. And it's something that we really need to make sure that more and more people know about. Looking at the Climate Smart Map, this is the topic we have right now. Tell us, what is the Climate Smart Map?
So the Climate Smart Map is where we want to define. So when we launched the Accelerator, and the photo you're seeing is when we launched the Accelerator and Dr. Angus Friday there, talking about what was the big picture that we were going to do, we wanted to define a path for the region to resilience. And this Climate Smart Map is the thing that will help us to get there. So it is defining where we are today in terms of how much of our ocean we protect, how much of our land we protect, in terms of how much renewable energy we have, in terms of how secure and resilient that we feel, and project into the future where is it that we intend to go, and what is it that the accelerator intends to deliver? So, how much renewable energy will we have? How much protection will we have? How resilient will we consider ourselves at the end of this process? And the Climate Smart Map is intended to provide us with some specificity around how we get there and some funding mechanisms that are available to help get us there.
Mm-hmm. It's all very, very important. As far as the Climate Smart Map, what else is guiding you as far as moving forward towards 2050?
A lot of things are helping guide us there. We're working across the region with a number of governments in determining where they are now, the Paris commitments that they've made, how much we want to up the Paris commitments, and how fast we want to get there. And in this photo at the launch, Usain Bolt is announcing the launch of the Speed Award, because what we want is for countries to be able to move to that climate smart state as quickly as possible. So countries have already made, their nationally determined contributions as a part of the Paris commitments. But what we want them to do is to continue to up the ante, as Usain has done, and certainly to do that with speed. And so there is an acknowledgement and a reward for countries who get there the fastest. And he was announcing that initiative at our launch.
You certainly have the right person to exhibit speed and forward movement. He's an incredible human being. And what a great representative for not only his own home country, but for the entire Caribbean. I know you really, in a sense, you said, when are we going to finish? This is something that will never be finished. You'll be carrying this forward into the 22nd century. But how are you moving forward? What are the benchmarks and the outcomes that you're having as far as, the Climate Smart Map?
That's fantastic. So, you see Richard Branson there and Jean Olwang there talking with one of the at the time, the finance minister of Jamaica. And what we want countries to do in terms of their milestones is to determine the areas that they want to focus on, which they would have done through their Paris commitments. And so, for example, one of the challenges is, how do we create more economic opportunities out of climate action? And how do we create economic opportunities that we have the ability to export? How do we build our economies on climate action? And that's one of the things that we want to do. So one of our initiatives as a part of this, rolling out this Climate Smart Map, is how many jobs can we create in climate action, for example. And if we can just contribute 1.5% new green jobs as an example, that would be something that we can hang our hat on and can be a major milestone for us as we roll out our initiatives on the Climate Smart Map. And as you see in this photo, we're willing to have fun in the process of doing that. The Prime Minister of Jamaica, the former President of the IDB, one of the senators from Jamaica, along with Richard, feel incredibly passionate about how we plan to get to the end state that we're working towards. So this Climate Smart Map is meant for us to get countries and governments together with people like the IDB, with people like Richard, and agree as to what are the things that we're working towards and what are the things that will make the most difference. And in this photo, you'll see one of the things that we think will make the most difference is behaving as though we are actually in a climate threatened environment. So Richard's taking off Andrew Holness's tie because he's saying he's the only one dressed for the environment that we're in. And Prime Minister Holness accepted that and allowed Richard to take off his tie. And so that's what we need to do as we go through this process of transitioning our economies and transitioning the way that we think and do things. We need to act accordingly. We need to dress for the environment. We need to understand that this is something that is real and impactful. Mm-hmm. And here is Richard talking at the One Planet Summit, where he is looking at, how do we were the first high-level initiative at that One Planet Summit. And it's so important for us to see this through. The One Planet Summit has launched a website that includes all of the initiatives that were launched and how far along they are. And it's so very important to measure the success that we're having. And I think that's part of the challenge that we have with climate action, is that we're not measuring enough, and our Climate Smart Map is meant to measure the milestones and our achievement against them.
Now, how will the member countries be participating? Because you have great diversity among the 27 that actually have signed on to be a part of this, but yet they're quite different. We think of the Caribbean, it's all the same. It's, in the tropical belt and what people eat and how they dress and all that, but there really is great diversity. So, how do you expect them to participate so that they're contributing their unique talents, opportunities, economies? Even technologies.
We expect them to participate from where they are. So, one of the things that we're doing is we are working with a number of different stakeholders in identifying countries' strengths against their weaknesses and identifying how resilient do they feel. So, we're preparing together with some folks from the New Energy events a resilience scorecard. And as you see there, uh, Professor Hillary of the University of the West Indies is in that frame. And we work very, very closely with the University of the West Indies, and they have some fantastic scientists who are contributing to the IPCC global reports that come out to talk about how much time we have left and the things that we have to do. So by measuring our resilience and making sure that countries have the ability to speak to what their goals are from their own perspective. St. Vincent and their volcanoes, for example, they would need to put different things in place as it relates to climate action. But they also have the opportunity to use geothermal as a renewable energy source, which other countries may not have. So it is about taking this broad approach, working with people that you see in this image from CARICOM, from the OECS, from the IDB, from all of the organizations, from the University of the West Indies, from government, from, pulling all of the region together, working under this single umbrella to create this climate smart zone and use this climate smart map to define the path that we will take to get there.
I think it's absolutely wonderful. Looking at citizens and thought leaders from within the communities, how are you involving them and being motivated by, the elected officials, but at the same time contributing their unique skills, talents, and also traditional wisdom of the areas within which they live? I lived in Jamaica twice. From one end of that very small country to the other, the climate zone is quite different. So, how they
Yes.
can achieve and contribute to these goals that you've laid out for the climate smart map.
Well, one of the things that we want to do is to empower regular citizens by providing them with access to information so that they know how their countries are doing. And one of the things that, the last picture was of Prime Minister Holness that we've appreciated about him, in addition to his ability and willingness to collaborate with us, but also his desire to listen to his people and have them feed back to him the kinds of changes that they want to take. They did a phenomenal job of putting in place a plastics ban, for example, and that was largely, a citizen-inspired initiative. And so we want to see more things like that. We've also launched with the IDB, and you had a picture of President Moreno, a campaign called Build Forward, where we want to pivot from the way that we think of ourselves and use that change in our mindset to build new technologies, to build new solutions, hydrogen transportation, digital transformation, and how we look at tourism, and to do those things in a completely new and unique way and empower ordinary people as well as entrepreneurs within the region to design new solutions that become a part of this future that we're designing.
Racquel Moses, thank you for being with us. Caribbean Climate Smart Accelerator as we create the Emerald Planet.
Thank you.